Hello, my name is Dylan, but you can call me Buttercup. Welcome to Buttercup Yarn Art, a soft-spoken video journal where I play with yarn and share my thoughts. I hope you enjoy this video, and if you'd like to see more, please subscribe. If there's anything you'd like to hear me talk about, please leave a comment to let me know. I am still working on the Thunderclap shawl by Emily Wood, distributed by Sweet Georgia. I am almost finished with the flax sweater. I should be able to show that off next week. I am very, very excited. I have been able to start working on the Thunderclap shawl off camera, which is very exciting. I love seeing progress. The first thing I would like to talk about today is really brief, and that is since I uploaded my video last week, I found a compilation of some Ravelry alternatives that are available. I will put a link to that compilation post down below. So hopefully that'll be useful. I have checked out a couple of them. A lot of them are for particular functions of Ravelry rather than Ravelry as a whole. And some, there is at least one that is a pretty complete alternative, but it's not that big of a platform yet. Not as comprehensive as Ravelry, but I think it looks very interesting, and I would like to see it do well. But like I said, I will put a link to that compilation in the description below, so you can check out all of the options there for yourself and, check out some of what's available. And hopefully something will come along, or one of these alternatives will get big. I have not received any further emails from Ravelry. As far as I have seen, they have not posted any responses yet. And I'm just really disappointed in them on the whole. So the main thing that I want to talk about today is that I've been thinking a lot about non-yarn fiber crafts recently. I've been thinking about mainly sewing, but also embroidery as well. I have wanted to learn to sew, especially garment sewing, for a long time. My yarn is a little tangled. One moment. As I fiddle with things and knock them around. And my phone buzzes. Okay. That'll be good. So, I have this bag that my cousin gave me when I was in 8th grade. And I love it. I've kept it for years and years. It's a great bag. I'm going to keep it until it literally disintegrates. But it's kind of small. And I would love to be able to fit more or bigger things into it. But it's, a little small. And so I've had this idea for a while to make a larger bag, either based on its design or inspired by its design. And I've been thinking about this a lot, especially lately. Thinking about, how I would construct it, what materials I would use, that kind of thing. And this actually leads into the embroidery that I've been thinking about, because this bag has 3 daisies embroidered on it. And I've been thinking, if I make a bigger version of this bag, I would like to embroider flowers onto it as a callback to the original bag. I haven't ever embroidered anything. I've sewed a couple of things, nothing complicated. A couple of masks. So a bag would be the most complicated thing I'd ever have made. And then to embroider it on top of that would be, I think, ambitious, but I'm nothing if not impulsive and reckless, so if I was gonna do it, I would go full steam ahead on embroider the flowers. So I would need to figure out how to sew a bag and how to embroider flowers and what flowers to embroider, probably before I learn how to embroider flowers, but maybe I could learn to embroider a bunch of flowers and then decide based on how I like embroidering them. Who knows? But I have been thinking about this so much, I've actually been losing sleep over it, which is a bit of a problem, in my opinion. I like sleep. I don't like not getting enough. And if I'm tossing and turning at night because I'm thinking about making something, that might be an indication that I really ought to make it. And some nights I'll start out thinking about this bag and sewing this bag. And then as I toss and turn, I start thinking about sewing other things, like shirts and skirts and pants and dresses, and I think about sewing an outfit to wear to the Renaissance fair with this bag. You know, I think about sewing the clothes that I would wear every day. I think about, you know, what kind of designs I would do and what types of garments and colors and materials. And if I sewed half of the things that I think about sewing, I would have more clothes than I would have space for in every closet and every dresser I have ever had clothing in. My current style is whatever I can find in my size that doesn't look terrible. Especially when it comes to less casual clothing. For casual clothing, jeans and a t-shirt. It's a handy uniform. If I have to go into an office for work or otherwise look quote-unquote professional, whatever the heck that means, it is whatever I can find in my size that doesn't look awful. And I'm not really satisfied with that, to be honest. I really like Morgan Donner and Bernadette Banner and, you know, their senses of style. And Morgan Donner kind of coined, I don't know if she coined it necessarily, but she made a video about what she calls history bounding, which is incorporating historical or historically inspired styles into a modern wardrobe. And I would really like to do that. I would have to sew those clothes myself or have them made for me, bespoke, because, you know, the clothing that is readily accessible in my size does not lend well to that kind of thing, which sucks, in my opinion. So if I wanted to have that style, I would have to make it. I would also probably have to settle on a time period to be inspired by. I have a particular aesthetic in mind that is kind of difficult to attach to a historical time period. I have kind of narrowed it down, I think, to around the mid-1910s. But I need to do more research and decide, and I need to learn garment sewing too. But I think the mid-1910s, I think. But yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. There's a particular garment, if I do finally learn garment sewing, that I want to make for myself, and I want like 5 of them. And that is something called a divided skirt. It is basically pants made to look like a skirt. I think they were semi-popular in the Edwardian era. And, you know, one of my issues with skirts, I have a bunch. I love the look, but I have thighs, and they rub together when I walk, and it's uncomfortable. And tights are good. I've recently found a brand of tights that actually works really well for me. Snag tights, they're great. Check them out. But I recently found tights that fit me very well and stay up and all that. But I also like the idea of a skirt that is secretly pants. So I really want to make all of the divided skirts for myself to have, because I love the idea of that garment. I also want to make normal skirts and dresses and just everything. I want to make my clothes. And I've been thinking about it a lot lately, so I think before I make any clothes, I'm going to wind up remaking that bag from my cousin and embroidering flowers on it. Probably roses, because I like roses. But I've been thinking about that so much lately. And I kind of like the idea of being one of those people who makes all of their own clothes. I would still, of course, wear t-shirts. I have too many of them. But handmade clothes are something that I've always been fascinated by it, and lately I've just been a little desperate to make them myself, and to have clothes that I know I like and will look good and aren't just not awful and available in my size. I guess what I want to do really is excise the fashion industry from my life. Wish me luck. I think that's it for today. So as I finish out this row, thank you very much for watching. And I hope that you have a wonderful day.